Hello, everybody. My name is Puppetine from I Love Puppets here on I Love Puppets to discuss episode 3 of, you guessed it by the title alone, of The Bad Batch. And, well, it is a good batch today, I'd say. And to join the puppet menace that I am, we have a Zach of the Clones.
What's up? That's a good one. I didn't even think about that one. That's a good one.
I'm glad you like it. It is. I've been thinking about that for a while now.
I was thinking about that today. I was like, what's a good Star Wars name? Zach, I like that. I'm going to use that.
Well,
Thank
it's
you.
yours free of charge, and you can consider it compensation for appearing on this channel. Most of the time, all I can get are amphibians.
Well, I was about to say, it's nice to be on here. It's like, I think this is the first time I've seen a person and a puppet talk about Star Wars since Return of the Jedi, maybe.
Well, at least the last one that we recognize.
Yeah, right.
Besides the point. Let me just go ahead and start with addressing Snatchface. Hello, Snatchface. It's always good to see you. Loyal even at this ungodly hour of the morning. And as to why, well, it came out just a few hours ago. We are hot on the iron right now.
Exactly. We are hitting it live. We're striking while the iron is hot.
Indeed. Well, just to start this conversation, just a brief recap. They were in space. Wow, it's Star Wars. They're in space. I know, it's shocking. But they go from there, and there is a problem with the ship. The small little touching things like, oh, she doesn't have the little female clone that they have in the ship doesn't have a place to sleep. It is rough on her. She is just a kid after all. And they end up on a planet. This isn't new. This happens before, and it's to be expected. I don't feel like there's much to go on, so I'm going to just do my best to briefly explain everything. There's a moon dragon. It takes the power core. They get the power core, put it back in the ship, and they blast off. Let's talk about the real meat of this episode. And that's the fact that we get to go back to Kamino. And on Kamino, we get to watch Crosshair. Last we saw him, he had gone away from the rest of the Bad Batch. He was a good soldier. He followed orders. And in this one, he's leading regular humans. And do you want to take this, Zach?
Sure, yeah. This is one of my parts that I'm really interested in, because I always wondered, why would the Empire go from having clones, like you've got the clones, they have a better shooting ratio than the stormtroopers. So it's always like, why'd you go from clones to normal recruits? This kind of shows you why. I think Tarkin says like it's cheaper to recruit people than clone people. So it was really cool to kind of see that. They know that Crosshair is like one of these best of the best clones, so they pull him in to recruit and train these elite squads, or this one elite squad. They go on this little training run, and it's really cool because it's the mission that Tarkin gives the Bad Batch in the first episode that Hunter messes up on. He doesn't follow orders, so Tarkin's like, well, let's see how these recruit elite stormtroopers do. And so, yeah. So if you didn't see the first one, which I'm hoping people did, because you should have, Tarkin sends them to go after Saw Gerrera, everybody's favorite rebel from all across different shows. And the orders were for the Bad Batch, for Clone Force 99, to destroy them all, wipe them out. But the clones were told, oh, they're just separatist forces. They weren't told that they were humans and just regular people. So Hunter says, no, we're not going to do that. And that's where Crosshair starts doing the whole good soldiers follow orders thing. So in this, Crosshair takes his elite squad back, and one of the darkest scenes ever in a Star Wars show. They just massacred this whole group of people, not just the soldiers, but as Anakin would say, the women and the children, all of them.
That was a good one. I was about to pull it myself if you didn't. Um, I have to agree. And it wasn't at first that they were all on board. In fact, there was this one that was really talkative. The female of the crew would always roll her eyes at him, and it was understandable. He was he wasn't a very fleshed out character. You know why? It didn't matter. He said that he signed up for the Empire just to get some credits and be fed. And well, he was fed his last meal that day because he didn't want to kill the people that they were assigned to.
I know, the douche with a heart of gold. How about that?
Yeah,
for all the good it did him.
I didn't expect him to actually pull. I didn't sign up for this. And Crosshair said, "Okay, you didn't sign up for it." Boom, just shoots him right there, and then the rest comply because, as he says, good soldiers follow orders, and it just really fleshes out Crosshair in this entire episode. And you know what? I was really worried because when a show is telling you that it's one thing and then they diverge into something that seems, while somewhat related, just overall, this doesn't feel important. This absolutely feels essential to the show because Crosshair, while he has left the Bad Batch, he is still he is still a member at heart, even if he is via chip in his brain told to do these things, and he has to follow through.
Yeah. Well, definitely. I think if this part wasn't part of the show and it was all just the clones on the moon with the little moon dragon, it would be like a kind of a pointless filler episode, kind of. So this part definitely advances the story, I feel.
But I have to point out that while watching that on the moon and the moon dragon, it was getting through it. It was more of a, okay, this is along the journey. I think this does build character, especially for Omega, the only female clone. And she really gets a chance to shine because Hunter gets in trouble and she has to go get it. And she manages to use the flashlight because this moon dragon thought this large source of energy within this core would be accessible. It's not. And so the flashlight feeds it.
Yeah. And I also think it was really cool. It's a nice little flashback when I think is it Echo and Tech? Maybe they're outside. They're putting the capacitor on the ship, and the dragon's crawling around. I don't know. It kept reminding me of that scene from Empire with the Minox on the Millennium Falcon. I kept expecting that to be it. So that was really clever. I like that. And then you're right. It does build character. It shows that what Omega can do, what she brings to the table as a member, the newest member of this clone force.
And they address it at the end when what's his name, Wrecker makes her a little room for her to stay in, and she's like, I've never had a room, this is great. And I have a hard time believing that she never slept within the cloning facility, but I will take her word for it. This is her room. And I'm starting to grow on her. She is definitely children characters in these animated Star Wars shows tend to lean into the annoying side. Omega has only had 3 episodes, and other than the second episode, I really say she hasn't been all that irritating. I think she fits in quite nicely, gives the team a new dynamic to work with. If there's anything that I have to say about this show, is that I think it needs more direction, and not on the Camino Empire relations side. For the Bad Batch themselves, I have no idea where they're going after this.
Yeah, that's kind of part of the fun is not being able to predict where it's gonna go. But then on the other hand, it is kind of infuriating. You're like, what can they possibly be doing next? But yeah, I agree though. At first, I was like, oh, it's a little kid character, but then I was thinking about it. We've had in other shows, also done by Dave Filoni, by the way, the kid characters always start out as annoying, but then they end up growing into these really well done characters. That's what happened with Ahsoka in the Clone Wars, and it's what happened with Ezra in the Rebels show. So if I'm thinking Omega could end up being this really cool character. We're just kind of in the growing pains, or like the early days, kind of. We're just kind of they're feeling out to see which way they're going to go. But
and you know what? I have to I have to really respect what they're doing, because this is the third episode, and I wasn't sold on Rebels by the third episode, but
Yeah.
this I'm absolutely sold already. I just think they need to tell us where they're going, because this isn't like Clone Wars. Clone Wars was a bunch of little side stories that had arcs, and you go through each arc, and okay, but it wasn't one continuing story. Rebels was, but Rebels always had a sense of direction. We have this main objective. The Bad Batch, they're just drifting through space right now. And I understand it's only the third episode, but I feel like we should have an idea. Okay, here's the map. Oh, this is the next planet we go to, and it leads through.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think the season is supposed to be something like 16 episodes, I think, is the first season, which, you have a lot to work with. But at the same time, it's like, okay, you're 3 episodes in. Let's not dilly-dally. Let's not wait until we get halfway through and then pick up. If you want to scatter in some filler episodes, fine. But let's essential story arc stuff first, and then do a filler, So, yeah, no, totally.
And it's another episode, so I have to also say how much I respect. I believe his name. I'm trying to remember, but I am a puppet. I have a fluff-filled head. You have to cut me some slack. I believe it's D. Bradley Baker, something like that.
Yeah, the voice actor. Yeah,
he's good. He's amazing. He's playing how many characters, and each one has personality. And I remember reading something like, with every clone, I have one word that goes with who they are. And it feels like so much more than that. Because when he's voicing Hunter and Echo, and you forget this is one man. And then his performance as Crosshair. Crosshair is coming to shine in a way I never thought he would from his Clone Wars arc.
Yeah, he's really phenomenal. Yeah, because he's voicing at least 5 different characters at least, and I'm sure he's got some other little background characters in there too. But even when he was on Clone Wars, even if it was just between like the normal clones, because the normal clones sound a lot more, but he would just make them all sound and feel different. It's just he's really, really good at what he does. I think he's phenomenal. So
he should be getting the pay of the 6 people he's performing every episode.
He should be.
I'm pretty sure they only pay him for the one role. You are this clone. Oh, okay. But man, I am such a fan of his, from just his work on this, Rebels, 3 shows, and his performance every time. It's so fulfilling. And I know we have Boba Fett. He's returned on The Mandalorian. And I understand that his tone is a little different, but I feel like whenever I think of a clone, I honestly think first thing about D. Bradley Baker.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because that's where I've seen most of the clone. I mean, I saw the movies, but just so much of the Clone Wars and the story arcs and everything like that, it comes to my brain when I think of the clone stories, the Clone War stories. And yeah, it's iconic. It's like trying to imagine, as good as the guy is who plays Anakin and Obi-Wan, it's like trying to imagine somebody else being Hayden Christensen or Ewan McGregor. It's like D. Bradley Baker he is the clones. He is the voice of the clones. So.
Absolutely. And I'm excited to see where the show goes from here. I just wish, like I said, I wish I knew where we were going from here. The what we do have to look forward to is Camino trying to push forward and say we are absolutely essential, which we've never seen before. Even in the extended universe, I don't believe they ever really explained why the hell you stop using clones.
Yeah, and the Kaminoans also, they never appeared to be as like sneaky and double-handed as they did in this episode. Like they have like the prime minister, and then they're like, we have to make sure, and they're like privately speaking, like trying to make sure they come out. It's very Game of Thrones sounding for a Star Wars show. It's interesting.
Yeah, and you know, I remember when Rebels was going on, a lot of people were talking that Star Wars was basically turning Mandalorians into Game of Thrones, but look at the social politics going on right now. And not social politics, I'm sorry. I mean just politics in general, because they're worried about being put out of business by the galaxy of soldiers that the Empire would rather pay.
I know, Camino, if you want to make money outside of cloning, you have a planet of water, and there's like 1,000 desert planets out there. There's other ways to make a buck that don't involve cloning.
Yep, you just take a bucket and then fly to Tatooine. You're in business. I think that about wraps it up, though. I want to thank you, Zach, for joining us here on I Love Puppets. It is great to talk about this show with somebody else. I tried to convince Froggy, but he said he couldn't. He couldn't just leap up to it.
Froggy, I know what it is. He just didn't want to come on here and have to critique his grandfather Yoda. I understand. He didn't want to. That's okay. I'll happily sub in. Anytime I get to talk about Star Wars is a good time. So,
yep.
Thanks for having me on.
I'm glad, because it helps branch out what we do here on I Love Puppets, and that is cover all sorts of entertainment that we love. So I'm going to thank Snatchface in the audience, and once again to you, Zach, and to anybody watching after. Make sure to leave a comment. Let us know what you're thinking of this show. We're loving it thus far, I believe. And and I really want to hear other people's opinions. We want to keep this conversation rolling. We want this show to gain attention, because this is the best Star Wars happening right now.
Yes.
So make sure to leave a like. Make sure you're subscribed, because we're going to be doing more, and we will see you next time. Bye!